This is Michael Imhotep, founder of the African History Network, host of the African History Network show. Hope everybody's doing well today. It is Saturday, April 8th, 2023. It's Easter weekend, Easter, Oyster. And I want to let everybody know that we're teaching another exciting session of my 12-week online course today, Saturday, April 8th. We're going to get started right around 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. So you can register for this course. We have the link here in the thread of the broadcast to register for the class. And we deal with thousands of years of history and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. So we deal with ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt. We deal with the Nile Valley region of Africa, and we deal with thousands of years of history and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade happening. Right now, we see an unprecedented attack on the teaching of African history and African American history. We see this in our schools. So this type of information is more important now than in recent times. We see what's going on in Florida with the banning of the Advanced Placement African American Studies course by Governor Ron DeSantis and his Department of Education. So in this class, we do a PowerPoint presentation. We have book references, articles, video clips, and you're going to get a much better understanding of history. Unfortunately, many Americans, including African Americans, are ignorant of history. We see attempts to teach the history like the 1619 Project, things like this, and I've been critical of some aspects of it. There's some good things in the 1619 Project, so I wouldn't say ban it or anything like that. But when we study this history, most of what we think we know about 1619 is not true. Okay, most of what we think we know about 1619 is not true. There's a good article from this article is from virginiamercury.com that deals with much of what we've been told about Virginia 1619 first Africans is wrong. Okay, now this is a historical marker that's there in Virginia, right at Point Comfort, a marker at Fort Monroe. Even though August 20th, 1619 did take place, Africans were in the land that we call the United States of America going back thousands of years ago, okay, going back at least 51,700 years ago. Okay, so there is if we look here at this article here from virginiamercury.com, and then there's an article from the Washington Post. Before 1619, there was 1526, the mystery of the first enslaved Africans and what became the United States. Okay, this is from WashingtonPost.com, September 7th, 2019. And it talks about how Spanish explorers brought 100 Africans to the territory that we today call South Carolina and Georgia, and they enslaved them. Within weeks, the subjugated revolted, then vanished. Okay, so we deal with history like this. We take you throughout the history chronologically. We deal with ancient African civilizations like Nubia and Ethiopia, Abyssinia. We deal with the Nile Valley region of Africa, as well as ancient Kemet. And there were African empires that Europeans tried to rewrite the history of and tried to claim as their own, even though these were African empires. You have Europeans besides Egypt. You have Europeans trying to claim these empires as their own. Okay, one of them would be Nubia. And let me refresh the screen here for a second, because in the chat. Okay, now it's letting me post here in the chat. All right. Okay, so we posted a link here so you can register for the class, because we're going to start in a few minutes here on Saturday, April 8th. So when we look at Nubia, this is one of the African civilizations that Europeans tried to rewrite history and claim as their own. And we know that Nubia is the mother of ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt. Okay, Nubia exists from about 4500 BCE before the Common Era to 500 AD. And Nubia was also the first monarchy as well in recorded history. Now, ancient Nubia, or Ta-Seti, also known as Kush, was a region along the Nile River located in northern Sudan and southern Egypt. So today, what is known as the lower portion of Egypt and the upper portion of the Sudan, historically, that was what we would call Nubia, because the geographical boundaries that exist today in Africa are the boundaries that largely come from the Berlin Conference of 1884 and 1885, when 14 European nations carved up Africa into the colonies. This is a good article here from thoughtco.com, the Berlin Conference to Divide Africa, the Berlin Conference to Divide Africa, the colonization of the continent by European powers. Okay. And they drew these geographical boundaries around the areas that had the mineral wealth that these respective European nations wanted. Okay. So we're still dealing with the effects of the Berlin Conference today, even though it happened 1884, 1885, over 100 years ago. All right. So read that article. It gives some good background information. So Nubia was home to some of Africa's earliest kingdoms, known for rich deposits of gold. Nubia was a major trading route, a major trading port for luxury goods that came from sub-Saharan Africa, such as incense, ivory, and ebony. Okay. Nubia was also the first monarchy of recorded history. And the Nubians were also known for their exceptional archery skills. They provided the military strength for their rulers. Kings in Nubia ultimately conquered and ruled Kemet, or Egypt, for about 100 years. Monuments still stand in modern Egypt and Sudan at the sites where Nubian rulers built cities, temples, and royal pyramids. Okay. And we know there are twice as many pyramids in the Sudan today as there are in Egypt, because Nubia was the mother. We talk about Carthage. So in today's class, we're going to talk about the Punic Wars, Hannibal Barca, and Carthage. And Carthage existed from 816 BCE to 146 BC. We know that the Carthaginians were African people, and Carthage is destroyed in 146 BC by the Romans. Okay. In his book, World's Great Men of Color, Volume 1, history scholar J.A. Rogers asserts that the Carthaginians were descendants of the Phoenicians, a Negroid people, and that, in fact, until the rise of the doctrine of white superiority, Hannibal Barca was known as a black man. Okay, Hannibal Barca was known as a black man. Today, many encyclopedias classify the Carthaginians as whites or Semites, but ancient Greek and Roman eyewitness accounts paint a different picture. The indigenous peoples of Carthage were called the Afers, A-F-E-R-S. So we get deep into this history. We also deal with language as well. One of the things we're going to talk about in today's class is that Africa was not named after a Roman general, Publius Cornelius Scipio Africanus. Okay, that is wrong, and that's historically inaccurate, and linguistically it's inaccurate as well. Okay, so we deal with the Olmecs and the Mandinka Egyptian Olmec connection that Dr. David Imhotep talks about in his book, The First Americans Were Africans, Documented Evidence, on page 82. We look at different African civilizations. We also talk about Mansa Musa and the relationship between Mansa Musa, who became emperor of the Mali Empire in 1312 AD, and T'Challa in Black Panther, because T'Challa is the richest man in the Marvel comic universe, and Mansa Musa is the richest man in the history of the world in the Mali Empire. And Mansa Musa was emperor of the Mali Empire at a time when European nations were struggling due to raging civil wars, and a lack of resources. They're coming out of the Dark Ages and they're trying to rebuild. And we know the Black Death, the bubonic plague, hits in 1300. It's a 1347 to 1400 in spurts, and Europe loses 1/4 to 1/3 of their population. Read this article. This 14th century African emperor remains the richest person in history. This is from history.com, the official website of the History Channel, from March 19th, 2018. Okay, so this is just a sample of the type of information we deal with in this 12-week online course that I teach. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understand the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. We do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. You can go back and watch it anytime. So a year from now, 2 years from now, you can go back and watch the entire course. Okay, we have the link here in the thread of the broadcast. We also have the information on the homepage of our website, theafricanhistorynetwork.com, theafricanhistorynetwork.com. And when you go to our website, the class is on sale, $80, regularly $130. Okay, when you scroll down, you can, if you just want to register for today's class, April 8th, you click right here and you can register just for today's class. And then you can, once you join us for today's class, you'll want to register for the entire course. You'll be able to do that. Okay, but it's on sale, $80, regularly $130. And you can use this information with your children as well. I would say the content is PG-13. Okay, I would say the content is PG-13. And let me update something here. Okay, because we just updated that link. So you can use this with your children also. It's not overly graphic. I don't do a lot of cursing or anything like that. Okay, so I do a PowerPoint presentation. We have book references, articles, video clips. And there's about 80 to 100 articles that we reference in the class. There are about 200 slides that we reference as well. I put the slides together myself. All right, I've been studying history 31 years. I'm a historian also. Okay, so you can join us in today's class, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understand the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. Visit our website, theafricanhistorynetwork.com, theafricanhistorynetwork.com. We have the information right on the homepage of the website, but also we have the link here in the thread of the broadcast as well. Okay. All right, look, we have to get out of here. I have to teach this class. Remember, right knowledge corrects wrong behaviors. Not over till we win. Wakanda forever. And we'll talk to you next time. Peace.